Kia ora, good evening. Welcome to Central News for Friday the 16th of May. I'm Hilary Entwistle. The rental housing fitness trial being tested in Tauranga and 4 other cities is going to pass inspection, even though most of the 144 properties inspected in the trial wouldn't pass a housing warrant of fitness inspection. About 94% of the homes inspected in the field trial did not pass at least one checklist criteria. Most dwellings failed on only a handful of the 31 inspection targets on the WAF checklist, says a report on the trial. More than 140 rental properties were given the once-over by home assessment experts in Auckland, Tauranga, Wellington, Christchurch and Dunedin earlier this year. The first City Council meeting held outside the Tauranga City Council chambers since the modern city was established in 1989 is being hailed a big success by the Community Development Committee Chairman, Steve Morris. Around 60 people gathered at the Papamoa Community Centre on Tuesday to hear from elected members about items on the agenda. The agenda was Papamoa focused, with reports for discussion from the Wairake Community Group and an update on the Papamoa Eastern Corridor growth area. Other items were about roading and evacuation routes. The University of Waikato is offering 12 highly prestigious Research Institute scholarships for masters and doctoral students. Each of the research institutes at the university are offering a doctoral scholarship worth up to $85,000 for 3 years. This includes tuition fees and scholarship instalments over the 10-year. They are also offering a master's scholarship worth $12,000, which includes a fees component of $3,500. Hamilton City councillors have discussed an independent report recommending 3 Waikato councils establish a jointly owned public company to manage water infrastructure. The report was commissioned by the Waikato Mayoral Forum and was discussed at a public workshop by Hamilton City councillors yesterday. It recommends that Waipa District, Waikato District and Hamilton City councils undertake a detailed business case on forming a council-controlled organisation to manage the water. Today, the report's lead author, Peter Winfield, said in his view the status quo in terms of managing water and wastewater in the future was not an option for these 3 councils, at least not one that makes sense for ratepayers or helps provide resilience for the region. Hamilton Mayor Julie Hardacre says Hamilton City councillors would all be seeking much more information before committing to a business case. Now for our region's marine forecast for the weekend. West Coast Raglan rising Saturday morning, the southwest 25 knots with rough sea. Easing Saturday evening though with 15 knots. It's a moderate southwest swell out there. Your high tide is 11:45 a.m. East Coast Bay of Plenty, southwest 15 knots easing to 10 knots in the morning and a variable 5 knots on the evening, and it will be fine. Your high tide is at 8:53 a.m. West Coast Raglan, Sunday, there is a moderate southwest swell. Your high tide is 12:36 p.m. East Coast Bay of Plenty, westerly 15 knots developing and it's fine. Your high tide is at 9:43 a.m. on Sunday. Just ahead, removing the Tay Street artificial reef. Welcome to Central News. In August 2000, consent was given by the Bay of Plenty Regional Council to build a $1.5 million artificial reef at Tay Street. But the reef has never functioned as intended and was criticised by surfers and the public. The council has decided to remove the reef. I found out what this involves. It has caused a large scour hole. What does that mean?
So the scour hole is about 3 times the size of the surface area of the reef, and it's just as I said before, the wave currents and the wave pattern and the currents and the sandbar formation and the way that sand moves around in the area is affected by the reef. So that's what's led to the creation of the scour hole on the coast side of the reef. So yeah, that's created a large hole.
Can you give us a little history into the reef? I mean, how did it all come together?
I understand that it was essentially from the ground up. So the members of the community got together and they formed a group that applied for the resource consent for the reef, that obtained the resource consent, that raised a fund to build the reef, got sponsorship from within the community to build the reef, and then build it. It was led by Artificial Surf Reefs, ASR, so they were one of the main drivers behind it, but it was largely a community-led project.
Did surfers ever enjoy the reef?
I think it's fair to say that there's a consensus amongst the surfing community that it never delivered the surfing benefits that it was hoped to. I have had some anecdotal reports that in certain wind, wave conditions it created a good break, but that was very rare. So I think the general consensus is no, it never delivered the surfing benefits that was hoped, and certainly if you look at the feedback in the media about what surfers think about it, they don't think it did. Yeah.
Was it initially set up, that it would be a good tourist attraction, it would lead to more money into the area or bring us surfing competitions?
Essentially, yes. I think that's probably a fair summation of the point of it. It was to attract, to build a surfing, to promote surfing, to get surfers along, to build a tourism facility or attraction for the area, and so it was to benefit the community and to provide an economic benefit in terms of tourism, I think. Yeah.
Why was the structure never fully completed? I mean, how dire is the situation now?
So the structure wasn't completed because when the reef, so the consent was granted in 2000, the reef began construction in 2005, and in constructing the reef, they came across difficulties in terms of filling the bags in the marine environment. Obviously it's a difficult environment to construct things in. The bags weren't fully inflated. In terms of the direness of the situation for removing the reef, people can still swim at the beach. They just need to be aware that there is unpredictable waves, tides and currents. And so the regional councils wants to get the reef removed before the next summer swimming season, but we need to make sure we do that properly, and so that we don't increase the risk to swimmer safety. So it's about making sure that we've got the right methodology in place and that we manage that properly and monitor the effect of the reef removal and what it's doing in terms of swimmer safety in the area.
For more information on the removal of the artificial Tay Street Reef, you can visit the Council's website, boprc.gov.nz. The game bird hunting season opened on the 3rd of May and most hunters have complied with bag limits. It can be confusing though, as bag limits differ from area to area. I found out what the limits are for the Eastern region.
In the Eastern region, since opening day on May the 3rd, you're permitted to hunt mallards and grey duck, and this is rather a short season, reflecting the smaller populations that are out there. So you can hunt till the Monday of Queen's birthday weekend, mallards and greys, 6 birds per hunter only. So that's reduced bag limit and a reduced time, just for obvious conservation reasons. The duck populations are put at around 200,000 currently for the Eastern region. They have been up as high as 700,000. Our researchers believe that the populations go in cycles, and we would appear to be at the bottom of a cycle, so we should be climbing up soon. But we're spending many hundreds of thousands of dollars on researching what the ducks are doing and what their population dynamics are, so we should know more in a year or so.
Are there other birds that we're allowed to hunt?
Certainly can. We encourage hunters to look beyond, of course, the basic hunted species of mallards and greys, at what we call upland game birds, which are pheasants, quail, and also birds like pukeko, because in spite of their cutesy pie image, as portrayed by television, they're quite a problem in some areas. They're a nuisance to farmers, they're a nuisance to people in residential areas that back onto wetlands or similar areas. They'll invade their gardens. they kill other native birds as well. They trample on other native bird nests because they're quite aggressive and territorial. So they're not the greatest of birds. So we do encourage people to hunt them in season. And those sort of birds can be hunted till the end of August, by which time game bird hunting is pretty much wrapped up.
And what about the black swans? Can we still hunt them?
The same season applies to black swan. The numbers have fallen on Tauranga Harbour, where of course there's been a particular issue and there's been the rather controversial hunt by the local club. I believe that this time around they're not planning the same sort of hunt, driving birds with jet boats and the like. And indeed the numbers have fallen from say 6,000 to more like 3,000 currently. The birds are migratory. They've migrated away to the Waikato, we believe, so they're not such a problem in our terms, environmental problem. They feed on the seagrass that's valuable to young snapper and so on, and they also create a nuisance on some of the sandbanks and so on for the local residents.
For further information on licences, bag limits and other regulations, visit fishandgame.org.nz. Coming up next on Central News, the Waikato Pistons. Welcome back. Annie went along to the Waikato Pistons training to see how they are preparing for their games this weekend against the Southern Sharks and the Otago Nuggets.
You've got a mixture of experience and youth on your side. How's the team gelling after 7 games?
The team's coming together better. Every game we get better and better. I think the youth, in terms of mixes, we have a huge amount of youth on our team, and we have 2 or 3 players with a bit of experience. But you know, I think our Americans are relatively young, at 24 and 29, and you know, the oldest guy we got on our team is Casey Frank at 37, and the rest are all, you know, under 23 and under. So, you know, we're getting better, and you know, if we can build on this and get them coming back for, you know, future years, it'll pay some good dividends. But it's slowly coming together.
The Pistons are gaining a reputation as being pretty strong in defence. That was needed last Sunday against the Manawatu Jets.
Yeah, we kind of have a little bit of pride about our defence, you know, and we just don't have the horses yet, and we're starting to come together in terms of structure. But you know, every individual is responsible for the way they play defence on the court. It's just a desire thing, and understanding who they're marking and what they're trying to do. So, you know, we have very good assistance in preparing for the upcoming teams with scouting reports and that, and so we know how to stop them. And then we have a plan, and the team are doing a pretty good job in executing that. You know. It
was a thrilling fourth quarter, basket for basket. What were you saying to the team at the timeouts?
I don't know about thrilling for me, but you know, we came away with the W, and I think both teams, you know, put everything they had into the last quarter, and you know, give the players on the back a pat on the back for getting that W. The biggest thing was just to be encouraging and believe in each other and make that extra pass on the offensive end, and to keep doing what we're doing throughout most of the games, playing good D and limiting their stars, getting catch and shot opportunities.
You've got 2 big games this weekend, back to back in the South Island. How are the team feeling?
Yeah, you know, it's a tough week. We had a couple of guys couldn't back up training on Monday after a big game Sunday, but they bounced back really good last night and on Tuesday nights, shall I say, and you know, they're working out downstairs right now. So they're coming along good. We leave tomorrow morning, and hopefully we're going to be ready. We still got to get through a little bit of video and analyse out what the other teams do, but it's crunch time. You know, we've got 2 big games.
You're sitting 4th on the table at the moment, but the 3 teams ahead of you have all played 10 or 11 games, and the Pistons have only played 7.
Yeah.
Is the focus making the playoffs, or is it still 1 game at a time?
You always aim at the playoffs, but you know, for us, you can only play 1 game at a time. So, you know, step by step. the other teams are into their second and third double header, so this is our second one. So hopefully, we can get 2 W's on a weekend.
Are you preparing for these games any differently?
It's just a turnaround time, playing one, and then moving, travelling, and then playing the other within 24 hours. It's tough, and you tend to use a greater group, 9, 10 people, rather than when you play one team, you may use, 7, 8. So, it becomes on the rest of the team and how we play as a team. What
key areas of the game are you working on at the moment with the team?
Trans D, getting back to play defence. A couple of these teams we're playing, they love to run, fast break, teams, and they're very, very skilled, on the outside. There's about 4 or 5 in the team that shoot the ball really well. So, if you get back on D and force them to play a half-court game, you give yourself a better chance. Also, our offence, we want to find different ways we can score all the time and just keep building on where we are. We can always build on other players getting more involved into the game, and it takes the burden off our star quality players. So that's what we're looking for. Next
Thursday, you've got a home game back at Hamilton Boys High School at 7 p.m. against the Southland Sharks. Are you looking forward to it? Yeah,
we don't have huge crowds, but the crowd that is there is pretty noisy, and would like to get more of the Waikato public to come along. They're only $12 a game ticket, and to come to the game, and it's on a Sunday 3 to 5, and we feel it's a great time for families to get out and enjoy something, especially a team that represents their area. And we need a lot of support. You see the support that goes into a Sharks game, and it's crazy, and you see the support in Wellington and Palmy and Taranaki, and they do fill it out, and it's great. The team feels great when they get a lot of support from their hometown.
So the game is next Thursday, 7 p.m, Hamilton Boys High School?
Thursday, 7 o'clock. We rarely play during the weekend after it's at 7. So, hopefully we can get some families out there and get the local kids to bring their parents.
The Waikato Pistons will be playing this coming Thursday at Hamilton Boys High School against the Southland Sharks at 7 p.m. Tickets are $12 or $30 for a family pass. Stay tuned, as after the break we check out the weather in your region for the weekend. Welcome to Central News. It may be winter and things may be getting quiet around town, but there is still an abundance of activities and events in Tauranga. I caught up with Creative Tauranga to talk about 50 Shades of Beige.
Oh, I think I'll go and see that. 50 Shades of Beige is coming up at Bay Court. It's Grumpy Old Women were on tour a little while ago. This is another rendition of what they put out on the theatre. So yeah, 50 Shades of Beige at Bay Court coming up this month. I think it's around the 17th or 18th of May, but you can find details on our website or on Bay Court's website. I'll see you there, Hilary.
And there's a bit of a boys' toys show happening, I hear.
Boys' toys in our latest creative beat here. Fantastic exhibition coming up in May, opening on the 15th of May, 6 till 8 p.m. if anyone wants to come along and grab some fantastic work. There's a huge selection of artists. I've got the article here, the ad here. Ross Jones, Don Packwood, Glenn McCleary, Nick Eccleston, Danny Redwood, Clive Armstrong. The list goes on. There's a huge list of artists, and there's going to be some pretty wild and interesting works, I would say.
You guys do quite a lot to support the literary arts. Can you tell me about that?
We do. We're big supporters of the abundant writers community in Tauranga, and so there's always books here for sale, so people can pop in and have a look at the display area here, and they're great for gifts or just for personal reading. And one of my favourites at the moment is Recipes for Life by Charlotte Hardy, and it's cute. It's not recipes as such, it's about inspiration in life, recipes for growing your children, recipes for singing in the shower, recipes for taking risks. I might have to read that one. Recipe for reaching out to a friend. So yeah, $20 a copy. We've got them here at Creative Tauranga amongst an array of local writers' books available to the public.
Now, most of us don't really think of Tauranga as being having a lot of vintage things, but somebody has brought out a brochure.
Yes, there's been a new brochure come out, Hilary. It's a vintage trail for the wider Tauranga area. It includes things like cafes, shops, that sort of thing that support the vintage retro era. It's a bit of fun. I've done a few of them myself. It's worth having a look at, and I believe ever expanding. So pop in and pick up a brochure from us, and yeah, have a little walk around and see what you can find, some little treasures.
You've just spent the morning up at Council presenting about your submission. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, the draft annual plan has been out for community consultation, so Creative Tauranga takes a view to supporting issues around the city that are to do with the arts and cultural scene, that side of things, city vibrancy. Great to present in front of a new council, I must say. They're a pleasure. And they've had over 700 submissions this year, which I think is encouraging that community are actually taking an active role in the draft annual plan process. 424 of those were on the Grecian Library and the mobile library. So the councillors actually get an opportunity to meet with their community and discuss these issues out in a little bit more detail. So a lot of passionate people submitting. Really encouraging to see that we all care about our city and the citizens that are in it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to see what comes of the deliberations from our newly elected members and how they're leading the city forward. So yeah, it's a great process.
Visit creativetauranga.org.nz to find a copy of Creative Beat or find out more about any of these events. Right, it's time now for the weather for the weekend. Hamilton, your Saturday will have cloud increasing with a fresh southwesterly, later turning to a southeasterly with clear skies. Your expected high is 17 and an overnight low of 4. The rest of the Waikato, cloud increasing and the odd shower developing early as west winds freshen. Later, the southeast change brings clear skies. Paeroa, your expected high is 18 and an overnight low of 6. Matamata, you can expect 16 and 5. Te Awamutu, 17 and 4. Tokoroa, 15 and 3 for you. Bay Plenty, Tauranga mainly fine with the southwesterly dying out. Your expected high is 18 and an overnight low of 8. Te Puke mainly fine, southwest winds, they're dying out as well, 16 and 7. Sunday for you Hamilton, fine at first, then cloud developing as the southwesterly develops as well. Your expected high is 18 and an overnight low of 7. The rest of the Waikato, the opposite to your Saturday, it's fine, then cloudy with a freshening southwesterly. Paeroa, your expected high is 19 and an overnight low of 7. Matamata, 16 and 7. Te Awamutu, you can expect 18 and 7. Tokoroa, 16 and 6. Tauranga, fine with the southwesterly developing. Your expected high is 18 and an overnight low of 10. Te Puke, mainly fine, westerly winds developing, and there's a 16 and 9 for your temperatures. That is Central News for today and this week. Like us on Facebook or email us at news@tvcentral.co.nz. We love your feedback, or even if you want to let us know about something exciting happening in your community. Annie and I will be back next week with more stories from the Waikato and the Bay Plenty. I'm Hilary Entwistle, and I hope you have a lovely evening and a fantastic weekend.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.